time.
Hello. Welcome to Wednesday.
Yes, Wacky Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's always wacky with us.
Right.
No matter what day of the week it is.
It's
but
true.
Yep.
So,
So,
let's give some applause for the applaud. Some
so
bad
this
puns.
is a lot of fun.
Yes. Have you, we just got this and it's threaded, so I'm assuming you probably threaded them like I didn't.
Actually, Tony threaded, and then
Mhm.
he was like, okay, how do I do this? And he
Yeah.
was like, so I walked so he could play with it too.
Right.
So I threaded the swipers.
Right.
Swiper, no swiping.
Swiper, no swiping. Yes.
That's what I think of every time I sit down in front of this.
So this is
Gotta
the
love
machine
Dora.
that we had our hands on at Baby Lock Tech. So we were able to actually put our hands on the machine and play around a little bit. And it's very familiar if you've used any of the Baby Lock high-end model machines. So
Yes.
Ovation, Triumph, the Euphoria, the setup is very much the same.
Yes.
It's actually on like the same frame,
It is.
it's kind of like somebody said it was like a cover hem on steroids.
Yeah, that
And
was Deb.
it's a
Yeah.
pretty accurate
It is a
description.
good description. It is a cover hem with bonus.
Yes. And some of the things that it has needle stop up and down, and it also has a slide speed control, and that it does of course have the knee lift. So those are the three things that it has. So
Probably like that feature.
I really do. Needle stop up and down is new because we do not have that on the Euphoria or the Triumph.
Correct.
But we do have slide speed control on the Triumph and the Euphoria.
What she said.
Yes. So needle stop up and down is really cool.
It is, and that is there because of the different positions of the wipers.
Yes.
It really helps you get them to the correct spot.
But if you are using this machine, oh my goodness, to like do some piecing or regular serging, being able to control the stop.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's really nice feature. So even if you,
it doesn't matter. You don't have to just use it for that. You can use it like you would normally use your needle up down.
Yes. And so the foot on the machine is special, but it does come with the traditional same foot that we have on both the Ovation and the Triumph. So this one has a removable ankle, like a shank, and then the foot. So we can use all of the same tools that we have for our other machines on this, which is really cool.
The screw positions on the table, so the attachments and all of that kind of thing can also be used. So all of the ones that you would use normally.
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be a foot per se. It can also be one of the really fun attachments for the different things.
Right. So if you've been thinking about getting a cover hem machine and you have been on the fence, there's zero reason not to get the one that can do more.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can do more.
You can do more, but you don't have to.
That's right.
So if you choose to not swipe.
Right.
Swipe right, swipe
left. I know, I was like, it's a dating show now.
We're a dating show. Yeah, so you can do that or not do that without
exactly.
You can actually just, even with that foot on, you don't have to activate them or thread them.
Right.
You can deactivate the wipers right on there.
Yep.
And they'll just stay open and they won't get in the way, and you can do your thing.
Exactly.
But when you want to play, you turn them back on.
Exactly. But if you do want to play with some of the specialty
other
feet,
things,
you
very
can
easy to swap that out.
But it's very important to note the specialty feet that will be available for this machine, which are kind of like an insert into the foot, will not be compatible with the other machines.
So when we switch cameras,
this foot is not.
You can see the foot, what we're talking about. There's a little centerpiece that is specific to this. So there are different inserts in the foot itself.
Yes.
In this foot. That have some other capabilities for you.
Right. So a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, Brother came out with a double cover hem.
At least.
Yeah.
It might have been earlier than that. But yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. And we were excited.
And
but then we thought the machine was It was more finicky.
It was definitely you had to get everything attached just right, and then you had to get this thread over here just right, and I'd get it going, and then something would happen, and I'd have to start all over again because it would unthread.
Yes, and it was a traditional type serger with different types of tensions. So we had to be more
mindful of what you were doing.
Exactly.
It wasn't just a plug and play kind of thing like these machines are. There was all of those things to think about. So the really ingenious thing about this machine is these top loopers, swipers, whatever way your brain makes this go, oh yeah, okay, I know what she's talking about. They are attached.
Yes.
It is not a loose thing that you put on and then have to, yes, I want to use these. You then attach them. You don't. It's part of it. It's a built-in. So it's not got the.
It's not finicky.
It's not. It's just night and day.
It is, and because we're used to that, so when we go to a machine that doesn't have those,
it's just like
comfort things that we get so used to, it kind of makes us lazy sewers in a sense because we don't have to be.
We get used to all of the wonderfulness of these Baby Lock
We can
machines.
spend more time sewing.
We aren't fighting and we're not threading and rethreading and that didn't do what there's not test sew after test sew after test sew.
More time having fun.
More time having fun and actually getting to the project that you want to do.
Right. So I was leery.
You still need to test sew.
Right.
Just saying. I just want to put that out. We are not telling you not to test sew because you want to get everything threaded and make sure it's the look that you want before you put it into your project. But it's not like you're going to do this and go, that didn't work. It might be that's not the look I wanted. But it's not going to be that didn't work. So hello to
yes, everybody.
Our lovely friends that said hello to us. Thank you, thank you.
I know when they showed this to us, I was like, oh, this is really fun. And I was like, oh, I hope it's going to be as easy. Because we had already had some experience with one
that didn't float our boat.
Right, that we had to work a lot harder in order to use. Not that it doesn't work, just that we had to work harder. And
if I remember right, and I don't want to say that the brother one didn't work because it did. You just had to be much more mindful of what you were doing, and it took a little bit more time for the setup and all of those things.
It just took more time.
It literally was like your top looper was like a big binder clip.
Yeah.
You pinched and you attached it to the ankle.
Yeah.
And it was like weird. If you didn't get it in the right position and the right angle, it didn't work. I mean, it was just like, can't this just be part of the machine?
Yes. Well, yes, it can.
Yes, it can. And here it is. So again, this is all about the Baby Lock Applaud. It is a standard cover hem plus. So we can do all of the standard cover hem stitches that we are able to do on the Euphoria. So it's basically just the Euphoria on steroids.
Right. Or the Triumph and the Accolade,
all of those
Evolution.
Same stitches. Yes. So, your narrow right, left, your wide, your chain, and your triple.
Yes.
All of those can be done here. Plus we have our swiping.
Yes. And we have like thick decorative threads in here right now, but you can use regular threads and we'll show a little bit about that. So if you want that look like,
I just want the double cover hem.
The double cover hem, like, in the athletic wear that you buy and stuff like that, you see that decorative stitch on top. If you just put regular threads on top, that's exactly what this is going to look like. It'll look just like all of that stuff.
So for anyone who has no idea what we are talking about, when you have a serge stitch, the loopers literally do like this between your needles on the back. So you get kind of a wrap, which makes it very strong.
Yep.
It's also stretchy, so you can have
a lot of give.
Give. So it's really great for workout wear and exercise, the Lycra and all of those things.
Yep.
What the double does is in addition to the looper here, and then you have your stitches, you also have looper stitches on the top. What this machine makes so different than everyone else's is you can put anything in those upper loopers, which is really what we're talking about. They've just called them
swipers
because they're not a typical looper. They act a little bit
Yep.
differently. But that is what this is. So it's kind of looper stitches on the top as well as the bottom is what we're, if anybody's out there like, I have no idea what they mean.
Yeah. Yeah,
what
but
does that mean?
you've bought a shirt or a jacket or pants
Yeah.
or something that has this, you know, that decorative stitch along the seam. That's not just like 2 needles.
Right.
And that's the stitch we're talking about. And a lot of the industrial style machines, they have one swiper, which gives a different style look. And we can use one on here or we can use both. So we
Absolutely.
have more options. But apparently, one of the patents, there's 2 patents on this machine, and one of them is the fact that it does the double.
Yep.
So that is a really cool, fun feature about this machine. So let's show you a little picture of what we're talking about here. So this is the Baby Lock. Yeah. And it looks a lot like our Euphoria, the Triumph, the Ovation, all of those machines. Only comes with the standard plate here because there's no blade cutting. So not a traditional serger,
Right.
more like a sewing machine.
Yes. The only thing that really your sewing machine does that this doesn't, you can't sew backwards.
No, you have to flip your fabric over and move
flip,
it around.
You know, extend it out past, turn it over, and then put it through again.
Right.
There is no like reinforcement in that aspect.
Yep.
It would be it's a hot mess
Yes.
if you tried to do anything else with that. So from a sewing machine standpoint, you can sew just about anything with the chain stitch, which would be just 1 needle and your looper.
Which is like having an endless bobbin.
It is like having an endless bobbin. So for all of you people who are, you know, always, I want a spool size bobbin. This is the way to go.
This is how you get it.
This is how you do that. So absolutely. So a chain stitch, if you hear us say that again, is only 1 needle here instead of 2 or 3. And that you can be in any of the positions, but that they're all chain.
Yes. And so here is a really, really good close-up. So there's 3 needles there, and you can see like those red lines, and then there's 2 little eyes on the outside. And and then the 2 little eyes there, those are the sweepers.
Let's use my tweezers.
There you go.
There we go. So here's a swiper, and here's a swiper. And then these 3 lines, if you can tell, line up exactly with each needle.
Yep.
So you have a very, very easy, bright visual. This piece right here, where the red is embossed on, or whatever word you want to use, that is the piece that is interchangeable. So there are other inserts. This would slide out, and then you would slide the new one in. So this little plastic piece here in the center is got some alternate options.
And those parts are coming. They were probably,
they are not currently.
The Baby Lock website has said somewhere between November and January. So every time I've looked, I feel like there's a slightly different expected date of those
that's too funny.
pieces. So Christmas, let's say that's ish.
It's probably, you know, you can pre-order them, and then we'll just let you know as soon as they do arrive.
But the machines are here.
But yes, the machines are absolutely here. So
so before we unthread it, let's show them what it looks like to actually start stitching.
So those lines there are where my needles are going to be. So if I wanted to hem something, I can line up the edge of my fabric underneath with those, and literally going very fast. So where's my, like, where am I at? So you can see, maybe, there are actually 2 colors. We have a kind of bluish green variegated there. That's a good light right there. And then we have the purple sparkle, which are in our swipers. So you can see that they are alternating. They're crossing in front of the needles with each stitch. And then the 3 pink are the needles. On the back, we have a dark, and you can see I'm right at the edge of my fabric there, all the way across. And I didn't even press that. If I had pressed it, it would look way better. But how simple to do a hem, and
Mhm.
Very, very
And we're just
easy.
using sort of random color threads.
Yeah,
You could,
there's no
yeah, no rhyme or reason
there's
to
no
it.
rhyme
You
or
could
reason to it.
definitely
It's just the first things we grabbed when
plan
we
it.
were threading
Absolutely.
and things. So that is this as complicated as that needs to be. So very straightforward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So should we talk about threading?
Let's talk about threading.
All right.
Yep.
So to rethread, I am going to just snip these here at the top, and I'm actually going to just get them out of the way here.
Let me do that.
Nice and tangled. No, I was just going to snip them so that they are literally out of the way. Okay.
Oh, it looks like it's caught right there. Sometimes the threads are a little more squirrely than you want them to be. There we go.
Good job. All right. So I got a little bit of a mess. We're still learning too, guys.
There we go.
So we just sew out and get all of our regular threads out of the way. So one of the things that was recommended is thread your cover hem first.
Yes.
Whatever cover hem stitch it is that you want, you're going to thread that. We have covered threading for cover hem stitches and
Yep.
numerous different ones. I'm not going to do all of that. We're just going to talk about these. Am I okay?
He said it sounds like Lisa's mic went out and she's only coming through faintly on Sarah's. Let's see. Let me try and check that out. Do, 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 do.
Make sure I didn't mess up our cover hem.
Right.
No, all good.
She might be right. Yours isn't coming through very much on a little.
Try
All right.
moving it in front of me and
Yeah.
off to the side.
Okay.
See if that helps.
So it might be because the
machine
microphone is
noise
trying to drown out the. Maybe it's trying to be too smart. Okay. So
All right.
in case you didn't hear what we said, yep, her mic is out on Facebook. Talk now.
Hello, hello, hello. Can
Is that anybody
hear
better?
me?
Okay.
Well, that's not good.
No.
Should I turn it off, turn it back on?
Sure, try that.
Because, you know, that fixes everything.
That
right?
fixes everything, right? Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun when we have technology challenges. That makes things so much better.
All right, I turned it off and back on. That sounds like, it looks here like it's reading. It's good, she said. Shirley says it's good.
So, yep, but look there, on the microphone, only one is showing at a time.
Oh.
So the other one is. So you keep talking, and I will
I'm just
see.
gonna keep talking.
Yeah.
So for some reason, it appears that it is only picking up
At a time.
at a time. And hopefully they worked. Did you listen to the video afterwards?
Yeah, and it was funny because I did listen to something. I actually think it's my mic that's working and yours that's not. So let me move over.
Or do you want to just put it?
Well, yeah, I'll put it there, but then let me see if I can figure out why it's not behaving. So here you go.
Maybe it's because there's a bunch of my hair in it.
I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible.
All right. So Sarah and I have swapped. Apologies for the delay here. So since I'm sitting in front of the machine, I'm going to keep talking here.
Yep.
So
But thanks for letting us know.
thank you, thank you. So right here are the swipers. When you're threading, you want them to be completely open.
So I have rechecked, my cover hem is working beautifully, so I'm all set there. You want to have that threaded first. So get all of that, test it, make sure that it is working as you want. I'm now going to push the needle up down button, and you guys can watch these and see what happens. So when I pushed this down, you can see that they have swiped across, and literally they're making that, if there was thread in it, it would cross those in front of our needles and give us that capability. When I push it again, they stay there. I'm still creating that same stitch. So I have to get them completely open all the way out here before I want to thread them. You don't want to thread them with them crossed.
Right.
So make sure that everything is open before you thread your little swipers.
That's very, very important.
Yes.
I turned it off because
It's not doing anything.
Not cooperating.
So
at
do you
all.
want me to just put it here
Sure.
versus on me?
Yeah.
Or I could put it on my right shoulder and maybe it would
Yeah.
pick us both up.
Do that.
Try that.
How's that? Can you guys hear us? I'll just be talking into Lisa's chest here for a while. Hey.
Hey, buddy, what's up? All right. Do we want to change any threads or just leave the ones that we have up there?
You know what? Why don't I get some pink thread? Or maybe just put blue in so we don't, let's try a non-decorative thread first.
All right. In both or just one? What do you want to do?
Let's start with one.
Okay, so we're going to just thread the right swiper. The thread tree in the back. Yes, better. Thank you, Dean. Appreciate. All right, so just like our others, pardon my arm there, I got to reach. We're going to go up and over the thread tree.
Oh, let me change the camera.
If you would switch back to here. So right here, we've got little clickers, just like we have back here for our other threads. So we're going to click. I don't know if you guys can hear that with the mics the way they are. I apologize if you couldn't. It's going to click in there, and it's actually in there, all right? And then we're going to hook underneath this hook here. If we're threading the other, we're going to do the same thing. We would click and thread under this hook. If your thread is too thick to come through here, so it would cause too much tension, there's a bypass right here that you can run that through instead.
Yeah.
So maybe it's yarn or something that's just really big and bulky, but you can actually do yarn in here too. So there is a way to make that work. So from here, it's just like your sewing machine. We're going to go under, up, and over. So this is our take-up lever. This machine actually has two. This one here is for the swipers, and this one here is for your standard covers.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just a little hook right here that keeps everything away from your cover hem stitches and threads.
Yes.
Alrighty, so from here, we're gonna go through this top guy here. So I don't know if, will the other one be better at this point? I don't know.
Probably.
So there is just this really big circle in the front that we're gonna go through, right there. And we're threading for the right. You can thread with the foot up or the foot down in these. There's no tension on that once it gets there. So if you are able to just push that right through there without any real issue, you don't need to move the foot.
Right.
But especially if you have a thicker thread, that can be really difficult. So you can raise that up, and that gives you a much easier pass through to get through that little guy there.
Yep.
So there's no harm one way or the other. It literally, if you don't need to and you can just slide it through there, great. Don't take the extra step to raise it up.
Right.
But if you do need to, there is absolutely no harm. Just raise the foot and you can pull that right out. I'm going to get rid of some of this because this is like super long. But you don't want it to be here, all right? So I am cutting basically at the end of my throat over here. And you don't really have to do that. You're going to end up cutting it later. There's just a lot for me to hang on to.
Yeah.
So I have this thread off to the right here. If I have it way up here, my needles aren't going to catch. Right. I'm going to literally be pulling it out of the range that the needles will be able to catch it.
Yeah.
So you want to be at least straight across or maybe even slightly angled to the back. Mm-hmm. Don't have it way up here. So don't do this.
Right.
You'll never get it where it needs to go.
Right.
All right, you're gonna be like, why isn't it catching? Ask me how I know.
Yes.
How did you learn that? I learned it because it didn't catch the thread.
Yeah.
So,
I was partnered with somebody when I did mine.
and they did theirs.
And she was like holding on to it for dear life.
So you don't need to like
Right.
hold it. It just needs to be off to the side. And what you're trying to do is make sure that it gives it a little bit of tension when it's swiping.
Yep.
All right. So at this point, we're going to use that needle up, needle down. We are not going to use our foot pedal to start our swipers.
And we don't need to use our hand wheel.
We don't need to use the hand wheel. We're just going to put that down, and you'll see that it crossed over. And now my blue thread is right here. All right.
Which looks like it's over here still, but it's definitely not.
It's just my tail.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's over here is actually the tail.
Yeah, I think that it makes it look like that. There you go. You can kind of see that it's not really, that thread looked like it was in the
This is
looper.
just the one coming from the threading.
Yep.
So you can see that is over to the left now. And I'm going to move my needle again until I'm up. And I'm going to take a complete stitch all the way across until I'm back to center. At this point, I am now going to trim right at my swiper. And now I get rid of my excess tail. So I've already created that stitch, and now I can use my foot pedal and continue to sew. And you can see that it is moving that back and forth, opening and closing. All right. The next thing that people have a tendency to do on this machine is pull out the back here. You don't want to do that.
No.
You also don't want to pull off to the left. So sew out to the back and then just trim either with a tail or without that tail. And you can see,
I moved the
oh,
up a little
where are
bit.
we at? There we go. So there is just one thread. So it's only got kind of V's, if you will, instead of both directions. So you kind of get an S whole thing versus just a V there.
Yep, so that looks a little bit more like what
This is
you see
a little bit
underneath.
more of a typical double.
Yep.
I do have my stitch length up as high as it goes, so you're seeing a larger jump. If I turn that down to a 3, it's going to definitely change the way that this is going to look. So where am I at? This is a very small window. There is a 4 and there is a 3. So you can see how much tighter those stitches are and how much more of a cross that you get.
Exactly.
Another thing that we have heard when we were taking, at least in our class, is people were going, they were like, look and see what the difference is. And people would turn it all the way down to 1.
Yeah, it's
Don't do that, especially if you're in like super heavy thread mode. This will jam if it's the stitch is too tight. So don't go past 2, especially if you are in a really heavy thread. So this is all of those different things that we are doing right here. This is a standard serger thread in this one here. And then these are those decoratives. So I believe the bluish variegated one, green, it looks right at the moment, that's over here was a 12 weight. And what is this one, a 4?
No, that
It's
is
something.
I think it's a 15. Yeah, that's a 15 weight.
There's
That's-
just a lot of
Dazzle.
dazzle in there.
Yeah.
So it looks a little bit thicker. All right, so you can see what the different pieces are going to look like. All right. Well, that went okay. I didn't blow up anything too bad.
No. We still got 30 minutes.
I can still do it, don't worry. So if we wanted to bring in that dazzle thread or make even a larger, heavier weight look, we could even just add that same weighted thread on the other side as well. So if we added a second piece, just that same weight, it's still going to give us a heavier look because it's going to cross in both directions instead of just the one.
Exactly.
So that is where this machine shines above any other option out there is because you have so much more flexibility.
Mhm.
You want to talk about these?
Yeah, these are part of like Baby Lock put like together a little package.
It's called spaghetti.
It's called spaghetti. These are 12 weight threads. When you read the instruction manual for this machine, it's going to tell you that it recommends that you use 12 weight thread.
In the top,
In
the top loopers.
In the top loopers, yes. So here's the thing, right? That is definitely what you would use for, oh, look at
Oh, that is a glare. Sorry. There we go.
Yep, and also the hand gesture thing just started to work even though.
I didn't do it.
No, you did not.
That was not me this time. It normally is, but that was not me.
So they definitely want you to.
You get more pop if you put heavier threads in.
Yes.
You're going to really see what's going on.
But they don't necessarily say, oh, hey, go ahead and use yarn. Go ahead and use this. Go ahead and use that. They're going to say, we recommend that you can use, down to a 12 weight. But I promise you that every single sample we did at Baby Lock Tech was using threads that were
crazy,
substantially smaller than or thicker than that particular
So we
weight.
showed this. I'm going to just kind of zoom in there for you to see that again. There's a lot going on over here, guys.
So much.
There aren't any actual yarns. This is just your kind of standard, this one right here,
Yep.
standard threads, but in both swipers. This is just one swiper with a really nice and heavy thread. This one is both using a narrow cover and what do you call it? Glitter? What is that? That's razzle
Mm-hmm.
threads in that one there. And then again, same width cover hem here, but with a much heavier and then only one with that heavy, heavy thread in there.
Yes. And normally you would use your left looper for a single because they assume you'll use a thicker thread and the left swiper is higher, so you've got more clearance.
There you go. So, and then this is a chain for anyone who doesn't know what a chain is. Again, with a single swiper in there.
Threaded.
Yep.
Yep. Which gives you more of like almost like a hand-looked stitch.
Mm-hmm. So, you can vary things like this and have different stitches. They don't have to be the same thing row after row. You can have different things. You can have them crossing over one another and have, angles and crosshatch. I mean, you can literally do anything.
Yep.
There's almost no limitation.
There are definitely limitations. The camera has decided now, hi.
Where did that go?
It's doing its own thing. Totally doing its own thing.
Wow. So the camera system did an update. I'm sure that surprises us, all of you, and it definitely. So I would just like to say that I 100% agree with Janelle. This is a really neat machine.
Mm-hmm.
We do still have a couple here new in the box. I ordered a couple, so more than a couple, because we knew it was going to be a lot of fun to play with. So
Yeah, we wanted to have the ability.
we wanted to make sure that if you wanted one, you could get one.
Right.
So, but they are in stock, so even if we do sell out, we can still get you one pretty quickly. What should I put in this other side?
Let's.
Use one of those
Yeah,
or one of these?
one of these.
Let's do this one.
Yep. And I'm gonna try and figure out what the
What's happening
camera
over
is
there?
doing over here. Mm-hmm.
All right,
No
so
idea.
this is a 12 weight. I don't know if you guys can see. So it is variegated. This is what we had in there originally. This will look really pretty with that standard piece there. So again, I have a clip right here. I'm going to just push that in till I hear the click, and then it locks in place. Underneath that hook, then there's a little metal bar right here. I go under that, up and over. This is the exact same place that this one went. All right, they have a little hook here to keep them separate. Outside of that, everything's going to follow that same path. Switch cameras.
Yep.
All right, I am going to do a couple stitches here because I want that position open when I am threading. And I use my needle up, needle down for that. I'm going to just toss this through the center and then again through that side over here. Maybe. Contact's starting to go out on me. There we go. All right. So I now need to do the same thing with this one that I did when we did this guy here. So I just have a scrap of fabric. You can use the same one over and over again. It doesn't matter. I am moving down the line just so you guys can see the differences as we do things. So again, I am not, I'm not going to use my foot pedal. I'm going to use my needle up, down, and create one full stitch. And then I'm going to snip. And then what will happen is it will just kind of flow into the back. Isn't that cool? Look at those top loopers just moving around there. So cool. And again, I don't want to pull, let the machine do the work for you so that that's coming out to the back of the machine. And let that chain off. And then here is that new guy here, somewhere. There we are. All right, and I'm just gonna turn it so you guys can see the variegated. It's very obvious as we go down. You've got that blue, a little bit of green, kind of a aqua in there. How cool is that?
That is a lot of fun.
And wouldn't that look great down the side of your pants? Or your sleeve, or whatever.
Right.
So it's very straightforward. I was concerned that it was going to be very confusing to thread.
Yeah,
like,
not.
okay, now what?
Right.
You know, what are we getting ourselves into? It is so, when I actually sat down in front of it, I was like, oh, I just got to get it through there?
Yeah.
I can do that. So the only things that I have really seen, like we were saying, is if those tails are coming too far forward or you're holding them too hard so that they can't move and get where they're supposed to go. So either straight out or slightly angled back when you are starting your thread of that little swiper in there.
Yeah, and so if you think about what Lisa was talking about, these have to move forward and backwards, and then the needles, they have to go in front of that thread. Otherwise, it doesn't hold the thread in.
Right.
If the threads are in front of the needles, there's nothing locking them in place.
There's nothing holding it there.
So it's like a braid that you just twist instead of
having the locking mechanism, if you will.
Let it go,
it untwists and nothing.
Exactly.
Everything falls out.
So you got to have the needles need to lock that in place. So
if you're doing this up here and pulling that tail up, you're pulling the thread actually too far in front, and then the needle can't catch.
Right. The thread is kind of in the front of the eye instead of in the back of the eye.
And so I did that. I was with a heavy thread, and I was watching, of course, because I'm super interested.
Right.
So I'm leaning over the machine, and my hand came towards me. And so I pulled the thread towards me, and I'm like, why isn't this catching? And Deb came and sat down. She was like, move the thread back. It's like, that makes so much. And she actually had me stop and look so that as the stitch was being created, I could see.
Right.
She's like, now move your thread up. And you could literally see how it's not in position if you have it too far forward. It cannot get there. So once you get everything threaded, you don't have to redo that. You can chain off and just continue to start new.
Exactly.
So you can chain off the side, turn your fabric, come back, do whatever. You can do curves as you can kind of see there. Curves are fine. You can do that. Obviously, the wider your stitch, you're going to want to go a little bit slower and not as sharp of a curve. It's harder to do that when they're super wide. They don't curve as easily.
Right.
But you can do so many things, and it's just so fun.
And we did a bunch of things at Baby Lock Tech with basically a 2-thread wide, not always a 3-thread. So you definitely do not have to have that middle needle in there. That doesn't prevent the stitch from forming or anything like that.
No, absolutely. So you can get very, as we showed you with this little guy here, those, where'd they go? So
Those are all done. That's a two thread.
this is a 2-thread narrow.
Mhm.
This is a chain right here. So you
Yep.
can see it looks almost like a twist.
That's a chain with 2 swipers.
Yeah, what she said. And then this one
Is a chain with
is
1.
a chain, where'd it go? This is a chain with 1. So you,
Yep.
the yellow that you see right here, that is your needle thread.
Mhm.
And then this is a heavier piece going through that. So very, very cool.
Yes, and changing the stitch length, all of that
All
makes a big
makes
difference.
it look,
Yep.
whether you're getting a tighter twist or a more
Mhm.
open one, depending upon the stitch length itself.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So many different options. And the other great thing is fabric. So is this a linen? I think this is like a linen. This is what I was originally showing you. So here's my original little hem that we talked
Yeah,
about when
that's
we
like
first got
Essex linen.
started. And then these are all just on linen, but you can stitch on blue jean. You can switch. This is a knit. And then you can go into lycra, and you don't have to change anything. It's just so it's just easy.
Yes.
So it's just really, really straightforward. Into fleece, heavy, thick, thin, it doesn't matter. You can literally stitch these things on anything.
Absolutely. And some of the things that we have coming for the machine are these attachments. So when Baby Lock was giving us the teasers, we were like, it's like couching, like yarn couching and like ribbons. And we were like, it's like a serger that can couch. And
Yep.
that is exactly
What it is. So one of the feet that are
inserts.
an
for the
accessory
feet.
that's
Yes.
coming, it actually has a place to put ribbon through.
Yes.
And then you adjust your stitch based on the width of your ribbon, and it just goes right over top of the ribbon. It looks, you can get a very heirloomy look.
Yep.
Depending upon the threads that you're using. It looks hand stitched, and you're getting this piece that's holding that ribbon in place. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning.
Right.
And again, the couching aspect, how easy.
Right. I
You know,
mean,
couching can be not simple.
Yeah,
Depending
it's-
upon what you're trying to couch.
Exactly. It's definitely one of those things that a lot of people have like a love-hate relationship with it. So they think it's really difficult, and it really is not difficult at all. You just need to have the right tools. And, we always say this, like the tools make the job so much easier. So if you have all of the things that you need, it's going to make the creating part so much easier.
So here is, you can kind of see in the little camera there, this is lycra. And
Even with the
even
decorative
with that
stitches.
decorative stitch, it will move with you and allow that stitch to move. And I mean, how cool is that?
Right.
And just so you know, I didn't change anything. I just hit
Go.
the foot pedal.
Yeah.
I just hit go. So, again, we can go from one fabric to another very, very easily. So
One
you
of the
see
things
there a
that
little bit.
I think would be really cool, I'm not really a garment sewer, so I can see like adding this to like the cuff of my t-shirts or something like
most
that.
definitely.
Just
Take the pocket off of a shirt.
right,
Decorate the living daylights out of it,
and then put it back on.
and then put it back on with all of your tails buried into the back.
Right.
I mean, how cool.
Yeah. And a nice way of being able to take something that is simple and put a little bit more, maybe a little bit more you to it. You know, some of us are a little more, like a little more flair.
This is very me.
And some of us are a little more, Lisa and I we say we do wear a lot of black and gray and
It's
dark
just
colors
easy.
because it matches. But it's fun to put a little pop of color
Yes.
into whatever it is that you're working on. And
And
this
you
is
can
a
never
really
go wrong with
easy-
sparkle.
You can't. You can have too much sparkle.
So
It's just not
one thing
possible.
that I want to throw out there, just because from a garment perspective.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make a hem out of a shirt that was already finished and you just wanted to, I would unsew
Yeah.
the seam up, and then that way all of your tails are buried. So you don't have a start stop, because this does not start stop easy. Just you're chaining off. That is the way this finishes. There is no finishing in the middle of your fabric. That it just doesn't do that. So if you wanted to add to a sleeve, or it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to have a slit, whether you're just ripping out the seam that's there, make however many rounds you want to make, and then sew it back together and then trim off your
Yep,
tails.
yep.
So very easy to embellish finished clothing.
Even I could do that.
You could definitely do that. So we can bling you out.
Maybe I might have a pair of pants.
So it's so straightforward. And that was my concern.
Yes.
Was, okay, I'm pretty good with my serger, but I get nervous if I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So this is I don't know what I'm doing. And then I sat down, I was like, oh, this is already what I know. It's very, very straightforward. So the only thing that it doesn't do
Right.
is stop in the middle of your fabric and there's, with the loose threads on the top, there's just no way to bury those threads.
Nope.
Because they're not attached to the needles, which is the only part that goes below the fabric. So
Marilyn is asking if we talked about a price point, or if we can give the MSRP price. This machine can't be sold on the internet, so
we can say
say
MSRP.
the MSRP. Price.
MSRP is $4,499.
Yes.
We're not allowed to say anything other than that, but you should call us.
Yeah.
So, and we will give you, the different prices of the feet and the different attachments, and whether that's something that you would want to go with, or quite frankly, you can do so much with just this. There's, now I'm not saying don't buy the extras, because of course you should totally buy the extras, but you won't need them right off the get either. So
Exactly.
don't stress
I
that
mean,
they're not available as of yet.
Unless you've been like hoarding decorative threads like me for like the last, I don't know, forever, then you definitely need this right now so that you can play with those decorative threads, because you've been wondering.
Because what am I going to do with all this thread?
What am I going to do with all these
So
threads?
I have, well, I do have a lot of this. Do you know why I have a lot of this?
Because you're starting to get into that hand
'Cause
sewing thing.
I'm doing the whole crochet and embroidery thread thing. So I have a lot of this kind of stuff. So
Yep.
I actually have an entire tray with, but I own, not that one, that one's too pink. I own the tealy purple version of that.
But
And
these
that is
are-
a mix of
Yeah.
all kinds of different decorative threads.
that match.
So you can use woolly nylon or poly yarn and whatnot in here. I will say the threading, because those ends just split automatically, that was a challenge.
Yep.
That's just a little bit of a challenge. But there's multiple things that you can do to bypass that too.
Well, and I was going to say what I saw a bunch of people doing in
Loop it.
class was they were just tying the end of it on a regular piece
And just pull it
then
in.
pulling through.
Right. So I mean, you could cradle
is-
it, you could knot it, and
Yeah.
it'll fit. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You use your tail that you cut off and tie it on. I mean, scrap thread literally is all you need, because you
Yeah.
just need to get it through there, and the knot will definitely fit.
Yeah,
So
you got a big hole there.
it doesn't have to be complicated.
It does not.
And it really isn't. And I will be the first person to say I was a little concerned of, was it going to be complicated?
right.
Because
Too much.
if it's complicated, that scares people, including me.
Right. Well, and complicated is hard to teach.
It is, and that was a portion of my, oh no, now what? But the more I use it, the easier. I mean, the first time I threaded it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna screw this up. Watch me screw this up. Nope, I didn't. It was like the fifth time I thread it, and that was because I was
Now I
still,
know what I'm doing.
I had my thread pulled to the front
Right.
instead of straight or pulled to the back. And that was it.
Yep.
And as soon as I fixed that, everything's fine. And once you do learn more from your mistakes,
Yep.
I won't ever do that again, because I had it not work once. I figured out why. Well, I had someone help me figure out why, and now I don't have that problem anymore. So
Yeah, the other thing that I saw happen in class a little bit was as people were sewing, once you, like, they were embellishing the fabric and they had tail threads. And so it was easy to get your tail thread wrapped because, you know,
Yes.
the ends are squirrely.
So when you go to start sewing, don't put that in there.
Yeah, make sure.
Make sure that that is cleared
And
off
and
to the
kind
side.
of, yeah, do exactly what she's doing, because as soon as you let go of that, it's gonna want
It's going to
like,
just kind of spring back in and
Yep.
in on of itself.
And
So hold it until it's behind the foot, and then you don't have to worry about
exactly.
it. Yep.
And then the other thing that happens, it was funny because I was doing a serger lesson today, and the lady kept trying to shove everything into it like you would on a sewing machine, and shove everything underneath it. And I kept saying, you don't do that, because, you know, then it's going to get caught on the knife, it's going to get caught on the needles, it's going to create, it's okay to start off the thread.
Right. You
off
don't
the fabric.
want to jam everything underneath there, because then what will happen is you'll create a knot, and then the threads won't move like they're supposed to.
Right.
So letting the feed dogs, because remember, there's a feed system up
Way
here
up there.
that is grabbing all that thread, and this is all feed right here. There's, you don't have to, not thread, fabric, excuse me, I'm sorry. But this is more than enough, because this whole thing all the way out to here is underneath the feed dog.
Yep.
So I don't even have to hold anything. I'm not touching anything, and it just grabs and moves everything.
Right.
So very, very straightforward and easy to do.
Yep.
And again, that tip of making sure that your tails are not getting caught. I actually saw somebody, it got wrapped right, it
yeah, 'cause
yanked
they're-
it right across, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
yep, that's what they were talking about. So make sure that the tail's not in there.
Yeah.
Again, once you hear it,
Yep.
you know, and then you know what to make those adjustments out. This literally, there's no difference in this. This is just like regular sewing.
It is. Yeah, it's just like regular sewing.
So there
easy.
is an onboard needle threader for your needles 1, 2, and 3 here. And then there's an air threader in the looper. So everything is so easy to thread. So just like all of our good sergers, we have air threading here. This is your looper, which is the underneath part. So this guy down here, all right? And then there's, when it's in serging, nope, I read that. See what happens when you read?
Right.
Totally shouldn't read. No, don't. I'm just
When it's
kidding.
in threading,
When it's in threading mode,
you have to have, it has to be
it's got to,
locked.
yeah, there we go. The threader comes in here, and then you can move it from C1, C2, and C3. So you have a threader on board, very, very easy. Or if you happen to really like your tweezers for threading, you can also do that for your needles. It threads the same as the others. So
Yeah.
very, very fun. This is fun.
Yes. It's not stressful.
You know, it's funny because when I came back from Baby Lock in January,
Yeah.
I was
That's the
all
one, like,
excited.
close it.
I was all excited about the sashiko
Yeah.
and the decorative threads and all of that. And then we saw the little teasers of this, and I was like, it looks like a sashiko
Right.
with couching.
I know. And
you
I'm
know,
like, but it sounds like a serger.
and we're like,
It
what?
can't be a serger.
What is it going to be? And so, you know, we were like, okay, it's a serger.
Yeah.
And we tossed around a couple different, what do we think this is going to be? I'm like, no, but those decorative stitches, it's going to have, you know, somehow that serger is going to couch, you know, and sure enough, here we are. So I am very excited about this machine. I think it is a ton of fun. Obviously, we have a floor model, so please feel free to come in and you can sit down and see how easy this is to sew with and how much fun it is.
Yeah.
We're happy to let you come play.
Great.
So,
Or call us, and we'll send one home with you.
absolutely.
Yep.
We can't ship it though.
No.
We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So, are there any other questions out there that, other than a price? Because there you go. So yes, MSRP one more time is $4,499. If you want to give us a call, we can talk about different payment options, what accessories you might want to pick up, and all of those things, and we'll get you a total.
Absolutely.
So it is a lot of fun. Like I said, it is here, it's threaded. You can literally just sit down and hit the gas pedal and see how fun this is. So
Yep.
I don't see any other questions popping up. So I think we are all set for the day.
Yeah.
Next week, we are going to be talking about
Hems.
hems. So
Yeah.
And I think we said we would maybe throw a zipper in somewhere, hemming with a zipper.
Hemming with a zipper. Yeah,
So
gonna-
installing a zipper at the
installing a
same
zipper,
time as
yep.
putting a hem in. So we'll do the blind stitch, a couple different hem options and things, and then we'll do some zipper stuff too.
Yep. We're
And-
gonna pull out the serger. We'll probably have the Triumph next week, because
Sure.
why wouldn't we?
Why wouldn't we?
And then we'll talk about like mock serger stitches on our sewing machine as well. So
Yeah.
we'll bring over a simple sewing machine and we'll show you the differences.
But yeah,
They're
the
not the
blind
same.
the blind hem foot, how that works.
Mhm.
And okay, so you don't make blind hems. I don't use blind hems in my clothing. I mean, I'm happy to buy a pair that already has that built in, but
Yeah.
I'm not generally sewing that. I'm just it's gonna be a cover hem stitch
Right,
if I'm putting
right.
a hem in a pair of pants or something. That's what's happening.
Yep.
But you can use the blind hem for something else
Yeah,
that
I'll show you how to put
I
a
would
pocket.
imagine a lot of you have done in the past, and you're going to be like, why didn't
Wow.
I know about
Yeah.
this before? So, yes, that lovely hanging pocket.
Yeah, we'll put a pocket on
So
the back
we'll
with a little wall
put,
hanging.
yep.
Show you
So
how
we'll
we do
show you
this.
how that is so straightforward, and that is on a regular sewing machine. You can do blind hem on a serger too, but
Yep.
what you've done in the past has been on the sewing machine.
Yeah.
So we'll show you a whole bunch of different things. Again, happy National Sewing Month, and that's where all of this is coming from. So embellishment sewing, hemming, all of the kind of generic basic things. And last week we talked tools and tips and tricks and little things like that. So if you are interested to see some of our favorite tools and what things that we use at home, you can pop in and watch last week's. And then, is that the last week this month, or is there one more?
There's one more.
And we'll tell you what that's going to be next week.
I don't remember. I think
I don't remember.
I
what
have it.
is.
It's probably on the list that I sent, the email that I
You
sent
probably
out.
you probably know and
already
we
know.
don't.
Oh, our favorite patterns.
That's right,
Like,
patterns.
What
We
what
were-
are we
we're-
obsessing about?
We're going to talk patterns.
Because we might be obsessing over a few things.
There are a few things, and we've got some really fun stuff coming.
So excited.
Unfortunately, we have to wait,
I know.
so we get
We'll
really
still be
excited,
excited.
and then we forget, and then
then
it
we're
shows
excited
up, and
again.
we're like,
It's like Christmas.
woo, what were we going to make out of this again? So, yeah, we definitely had some fun with Checker Ray and ordered a bunch of really great projects that will be
Yep.
coming in next year. So we've got a lot of fun stuff there.
And
We have
officially signed up for the.
we signed up for the All Michigan Shop Pop 2025. So we will
Yep.
be participating. A lot of you called and asked if we were participating this year. And unfortunately, with the ownership change and so many things going on, we just couldn't make that work this year, much
So,
to
yeah.
our
We're excited.
bummer. But we're very excited that we're going to participate in next year's, and we're really looking forward to that.
It's a big thing for us.
It is. What else oh, I've got a shaker card. I've almost got prepped and ready, so I'm going to have a scan and cut class come up pretty soon.
Yep.
I have registered for Beyond the Frame classes, so we will be able to offer a new embroidery class every month, and we'll have kits available. So
Yeah, the
I'm not
design is free every month.
yes, so we'll talk about all of that in email of how easy it is to get that registered. You can come and watch a Stitch Out live here,
Have a party with
sort
us.
of live, and you can have that little watch party thing happening
Yep.
here. You can watch at home. You don't have to come in, and then we'll have kits available for that.
I
So
think
there'll
we should
be.
definitely watch here and have like food and drinks. And
I love
maybe
that.
Wine.
I mean, as long as we're not selling it, that's not a problem, right?
Right. I mean, they can go and get their flavor of wine and bring it.
I mean, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Wine and cheese. Wine and dine.
Would you like some cheese with that?
Maybe.
Okay, so that's what's happening coming up. There's lots of really fun things that we've got on the schedule or in the works, and we are very excited about the coming months that are creeping right up on us coming up to Christmas. So thanks for joining us today. We will see you guys next week with some feet and hemming.
Hemming. Yep.
All right,
And I'm gonna work on Mike's.
and we'll figure that out. We probably need a new one.
Of course.
Because that's how this works. Bye, you
Bye,
guys.
guys.
See you next time.